Welcome to Dr. P.C. Verma Economics to YouTube Economics class. In this class today, we are discussing part 3. Or part 4. India is growing dramatically faster than Beijing, China. Graham Allison Douglas Dillon, professor of government at Harvard University. Views are explained by Dr. P.C. Verma, former head and university professor of economics, Patna College, Patna University, Bihar, India. India is growing dramatically faster than Beijing, China. Geo-economic pressures like tariff and minerals are part of what shapes global stability. The other, Allison says, includes drivers like global dominance and military arsenals. China reduced poverty and illiteracy and grew entrepreneurship. The Indian government is doing this very seriously now. China holds lessons for rising powers like India. Most scientists whom Allison read and defer to remind us that we live on a small planet inside an enclosed biosphere in which greenhouse gases emitted as we burn hydrocarbons are making the environment uninhabitable. The alternative is finding other ways to produce energy, which is what renewable do. China's development of renewable energy in solar, wind, water, nuclear is astounding. China's impact on us as citizens on Earth is very positive. China becoming the dominant producer, developer, advancer of this technology means this is another arena in which Beijing will be leader and could exercise leverage over others. China holds lesson for rising powers like India. It is a fact, the fact that a country which was a poor as China was 4 decades ago has now become the largest economy in the world. Measured by the purchasing power parity, shows this can happen. And India is now growing dramatically at twice the rate of China. India should learn from how China reduced pockets of poverty, educated youth and created infrastructure for entrepreneurial activity. It is the impression of Graham Allison Douglas Dillon, professor of government at Harvard University. The Indian government is doing this again. Again, these cultures are different, and Indian cherish their freedom for than the Chinese government allows its citizens. However, Graham Dillon, professor at Harvard University, advised people to look at every state. Singapore is one. I am Graham Ellison uh, is particularly impressed by and asks, are there lessons for any intelligent government? Graham Allison's impression is that India is being serious about learning and applying some of them. And on that basis, India is growing dramatically faster than Beijing now. China holds lesson for rising powers like India. Most scientists, most scientists whom Graham Ellison Graham Ellison read and and defer to remind to remind us that we live on we live on a small planet, a, a small planet inside an enclosed and enclosed biosphere. Biosphere in which in which greenhouse greenhouse gases greenhouse gases emitted, emitted as we burn, as we burn hydrocarbon, hydro hydrocarbons are making are are making the environmental making environment uninhabitable, environment uninhabitable, inhabitable, inhabitable. The alternative, the alternative is finding, is alternative is finding other ways, finding other ways to produce to produce energy, energy, which 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 is what renewable, re, renewables, what renewables do. China's development, China's China's development of renewable, re, renewable energy, in solar, in solar, wind, water, and nuclear is ast- astounding, as astounding. China's impact, China's impact on us as citizen on earth. Earth is very positive. China, China becoming China becoming the dominant producer, dominant producer, developer, developer, and advancer, and advancer of this technology, of this technology means means This is this is another other arena in which in which in which Beijing China will be the leader and could exercise exercise leverage exercise leverage over others. Five, China does hold lessons for rising power, rising powers like India. China does hold lessons for rising power in India. The fact that a country which was as poor which was as poor as China for 4 decades ago has now become has now has now become the largest economy. Largest economy in the world. In the world. Measured by purchasing power parity. Power parity shows this can happen. This can this can happen. This can happen. And India is now growing. Is now growing dramatically. Dra- dramatically at at twice the rate of China. India should learn. India should learn from how China, how China reduced 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 pockets, should learn how China reduced pockets of poverty. Educated youth, educated youth, educated youth, how China reduced pockets of poverty, educated youth and created infrastructure, educated youth and created infra yes, infrastructure 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 for entrepreneurial activity and pre entrepreneurial activity entrepreneurial activity. Graham Ellison Douglas Dillon professor of government at Harvard at at Harvard. impression is the Indian government, the Indian Indian government is doing this, is doing this already. Again, these cultures these cultures are different, are different, and and Indians cherish cherish their freedom. Their freedoms. More than the Chinese government. Cherish their freedom more than Chinese. More than Chinese government allows its citizen, allows its citizens Graham Ellison was professor at Harvard, Harvard, Harvard. city. Advise, advise people, advises people to look at every estate, to look at every estate, Singapore, Singapore is one Ellison is particularly impressed impressed and and ask are there lessons lessons for an intelligent government, intelligent intelligent government it is the impression it is the impression of Graham Allison, professor at Harvard, Harvard Uni were Harvard University. It is the impression of Harvard, the impression of Graham Allison, professor of Harvard University, that university that India is being serious about learning about learning and and applying some of them. India India is India is growing dramatically dramatically faster faster than Beijing, than Beijing, China now. Thus finally come finally come to the conclusion at the end. Graham Allison, at Harvard University, advises people to look at every state. Singapore is one Allison is particularly impressed and asks, are there lessons for an intelligent government? It is the impression of Graham Allison, professor at Harvard University, that India is being serious about learning and applying some of them. India is being serious about learning and applying some of them. India is growing dramatically faster than Beijing, China now. And finally, become that the last part 4 perhaps. India is growing dramatically faster than Beijing, China. Graham Allison Douglas Dillon, professor of government at Harvard University. Views are expressed by Dr. P.C. Verma, former head and university professor of economics, Patna College, Patna University, Bihar, India. India is growing dramatically faster than Beijing, China. Geo-economic pressure like tariff and mineral. Two things are most prominent nowadays: tariffs and minerals. Critical minerals, magnet, these are most important uh, requirement in India nowadays for fast increasing in the production of electric vehicles, EV, electric vehicles, scooters, cars, and even proposing for electric trucks. This will reduce our dependence on petrol, and it will be on the basis of this critical minerals and magnet. We can develop these things, and we are developing. 70% of critical minerals is with China. And at that time, China had not a good intention for India, because China cancelled all license and made that there should be renewal of license for critical minerals. China declared that Indian entrepreneurs who are importing critical mineral magnets from China, they have to give a undertaking that this will be used only for vehicle, EV vehicle. Scooter EV, motorcycle EV, car EV, now proposing truck EV. But you have to sign that you will not use it for war material producing. This was a binding by China to all Indian contractors and other countries. Other countries were there, but the focus on India. But suddenly, tariff war of Donald Trump, president of USA, made India and China closer. India, China, and Russia, these three are a group that was in cold bag earlier. Suddenly, cold bag become hot, and these three met in a conference. This has given a signal to US that his policy is not good, because if India and China and Russia, three are in a group, then it would be very hard to swallow. President Trump declared. And he tried other things because he had said that India is a dead economy. Russia is a dead economy. I'm not talking about Russia, but India is not dead economy. Russia is a part of USSR, ruling in the world as a communist power, and otherwise USA as a democratic power. These two powers are in the world. But what was intention? That President Donald Trump says India and Russia both are dead economy. We take our country. India is not a dead economy. And what is the result? Jonathan Haskell, professor of economics, proved that India is first in the world in invisible investments, and US is second in the world. Japan is 15th in the world. UK is 11th in the world. France is better. It is somewhat 5th place. Germany is also not good position. This story, this is not a story. This is the finding of statistics. And statistics are provided by international institutes, WIPO, and other great sources. You cannot say that it is wrong. It is reality which has been prescribed by Professor Haskell. I have 2 or 3 classes on this issue, that India is first and US is second in the world. And now the same type of thing through research work comes to us. Professor Graham Allison, he says that critical minerals are part of what shapes global stability. The other, Allison further says, includes drivers like global dominance and military arsenal. China reduced poverty and illiteracy and grew entrepreneurship. The Indian government is doing this very seriously now. That is forecast. That is the statement on the basis of research work by Graham Allison, professor of Harvard University. China holds lessons for rising powers like India. Most scientists to whom Graham Allison read and deferred to remind us that we live on a small planet inside an enclosed biosphere in which greenhouse gases emitted as we burn hydrocarbons are making the environment uninhabitable. The alternative is finding other ways to produce energy, which is what renewables do. China's development of renewable energy is in solar, wind, water, and nuclear is astounding. China's impact on US, China's impact on India, us, China's impact on us as citizens on Earth is very positive. China becoming the dominant producer, developer, and advancer of this technology means this is another arena in which Beijing China will be the leader and could exercise leverage over others. China does hold lessons for rising powers like India. Mind it, this line. Professor Graham Allison, Harvard University, said, China does hold lessons for rising powers like India. The fact that a country which was as poor as China 4 decades ago has now become the largest economy in the world, measured by purchasing power parity, shows this can happen, and India is now growing dramatically at twice the rate of China. In any interview, we will quote this paragraph. I am 100% sure that you will crack IAS, allied IFS, RBI officers, a state bank PO, Bihar financial service, finance officers, a statistics of anything. I have been teaching economics for the last 50 years. And in these 50 years, syllabus of UPSC, BPSC, and other state civil services changed tremendously because of the number of candidates appearing for competitive examinations. Previously, it was below 1 lakh, now it is above 5 lakhs in a state level. And at central level, it is more than this. People have first choice to become IAS officer. If you want to do something for the purpose of the country, even technocrats, out of the 4 technocrats, 3 leave India and go US, Australia, and other nations. But 1% appear in UPSC and become IAS officer. In my family also, IITian are serving as IAS senior officers, budget making in central government. So China does hold lessons for rising powers like India. The fact that a country which was as poor as China 4 decades ago has now become the largest economy in the world, measured by purchasing power parity, shows this can happen, and India is now growing. India is now growing dramatically at twice the rate of China. India should learn from how China reduced pockets of poverty. India should learn from how China reduced pockets of poverty, educated youth, and created infrastructure for entrepreneurial activity. Graham Allison, Douglas Dillon, professor of government at Harvard, impressed Harvard impression is the Indian government is doing this already. Again, these cultures are different, and Indians cherish their freedom more than the Chinese government allows its citizens. India is a democratic country. China is a communist country. You all know that in Chinese economy, planning by direction. In Indian economy, planning by inducement. Planning is of two types, direct planning or induced planning. Induced planning is more democratic. Therefore, India likes induced planning. China is a communist country that works from above. Order comes from above and go to the down bottom. And therefore, Graham, Allison, Douglas, Dillon, professor of government at Harvard, impression is the Indian government is doing this already, and these cultures are different, and Indians cherish their freedom more than the Chinese government allows its citizens. Finally, coming to the conclusion that Graham Allison, professor at Harvard University, advises people to look at every state. Singapore. Singapore is one Graham Allison is particularly impressed and asks, are these lessons for an intelligent government? It is impression of Graham Allison, professor at Harvard University, that India is being serious about learning. India is being serious about learning and applying some of them. India is growing dramatically faster than Beijing, China now. This is what said by Graham Allison by his research work and published in his book, Destined for War. His book is very important. You must read it. Destined for War, Graham Allison. Conclusion, that India is serious about learning. We all know that learning by doing is the model of economist awarded by Nobel Prize in economics. Learning by doing. India is being serious about learning and applying some of them. That is learning by doing. India is growing dramatically faster than Beijing, China now. This is the conclusion of the research done by Graham Allison, and this was published in his book, Destined for War, written by Graham Allison, professor at Harvard University. Thank you for watching this video. Like it, share it, subscribe it, or like it. It is required because in any dance, 1,000 likes are there. And this is matter of your personality development. This is a matter of your knowledge extension. This is a matter of your your path of success. And if you like it, you find that Graham Allison's materials, you can speak, you can write in essay also, in any interview, then you must like it. Increase the like number to your teacher. I am Dr. P.C. Verma, MA Gold Medalist, PhD, Professor of Economics in Patna College, Patna University, and worked as guest faculty in in different institutions, such as Chanakya National Law University. There I taught law economics, and I was selected to lead students, boys and girls, reading in law faculty, law department, to tour program for enhancement of their capacity of expression and exposure in foreign university. So I visited with the students, Vice Chancellor, Registrar, and 30 students, boys and girls, to participate in lecture in Poland, Vistula University, Warsaw. From where we went to Germany, and after a few days, we finally go to Netherlands, Holland. Netherlands is necessary because International Court of Justice is in Netherlands, and my students are law students, so they visited there and they learned many things there in their museum also. What I want to impress upon you, that there is no end of reading and teaching. And I taught in BIT Besra, Patna campus in MBA classes. I taught in Patna University other departments as a guest faculty in postgraduate department of commerce and applied economics. There I taught MBA students. I was called by Science College Department, University Department of Statistics, Postgraduate Department of Statistics, Patna University, to teach PG-DAS, Postgraduate Diploma in Actuarial Science. I taught their actuarial science. You all know that actuarial means risk. All LIC, health insurance, all this depends upon this actuarial science. And this is a quick job you will get. So this is very important for me for the purpose of my students in Bihar, especially Patna University. I taught there actuarial science. Then I was called by postgraduate department of sociology, Patna University, to teach capitalism and socialism. They all know that economics deals with this capitalism, socialism. First of all, A.C. Pigu, professor and head, Cambridge University, after 1924, when Alfred Marshall retired as a head from Cambridge University, A.C. Pigu became head. And Marshall had written a book, Principles of Economics, in 1890. And when A.C. Pigu became head of Department of Cambridge, he has written Principle of Welfare Economics. This is at present in US, it is in course, and that is Pigu effect. How to deal with environmental pollution. Piguvian tax was invented by A.C. Pigu, HOD, after Marshall, after 1924. We all know that Adam Smith is father of economics. But father of microeconomics is Alfred Marshall. Father of welfare economics is A.C. Pigu. Father of macroeconomics is John Maynard Keynes. His book, The General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money, was the basis of methodology provided by Keynes to President Roosevelt in 1932, when 160 lakh Americans were on road, retrenched from the job, factories are closed, recession came, Great Depression came. First Great Depression in 1930s and second in 2008. Roosevelt called John Maynard Keynes, come and please solve how these 160 lakh people are unemployed in the US. 30 lakh were unemployed in UK. 60 lakh unemployed in Germany during the Great Depression of 30. Keynes, John Maynard Keynes is very brilliant and truthful, never went. You will surprise to listen from me. After Second World War, during Treaty of Versailles, when I was in Berlin, there is a big display of all these World War things there at the near the place where there is a meeting of East Germany and West Germany, and big roads are there. Actually, that is the place where people come and enjoy all these things. And many writings, photographs are there. And the wall, which was a Berlin Wall, some portion is still kept for people to watch, to see it. Not allowed, but my students have gone there and touch it. Police came there, don't touch it. Bricks are boundary wall, some portion is there, and rest is removed so that east and west, one can go from East Germany to West Germany, West Germany. But what I found that West Germany is developed part, and East Germany under socialism, under communism, follow welfare principle. In West Germany, old West Germany, now the Germany, where you will go in toilet, you have to pay few dollars. Only senior citizen is allowed for that. At that time, I was also not senior citizen. My vice chancellor was senior citizen of Chanakya National Law University. I told him that use this advantage. And toilet or the rest room was like a drawing room and well furnished. Different types of newspapers are there, different things. But you have to pay some dollar. And when you are outside, dollar becomes rare. It should be spent slowly, because you have to remain there for months, and it is very difficult to survive if your all dollar is lost. But what I want to impress upon you, in Western Germany, old Western Germany, there is more development and high level of development, but everything payable. And Eastern Germany, there is toilet, and it is written free, no fee. But the difference of the quality, that quality is superb, this quality is general, but it is free, everyone used it. What I found that in Warsaw also, Russia now, there is a lack of wheelchair. Many shops are there, but wheelchairs are not available to the weak or person who are in fever, etc. Nearly 100 steps we have to get to the aircraft, entry of aircraft. So what I wanted to impress upon you, that India is being serious about learning and applying some of them. India is growing dramatically faster than Beijing and China now. Two hypotheses I have presented in last 10 classes. First hypothesis, that India is first and China is second. India is first and US is second in invisible investment, which is the main investment. There is visual investment like car and aircraft, shoes and socks. These are not this is the primary thing. Invisible investment is like Microsoft, Google's, and development of waves, writing critical stories, making cinemas, thousand crores. This is also individual investment. Branding, product branding, this is also individual investment. So individual investment is that which you cannot touch. Visible investment is that which you can touch. Nowadays, visible investment is surpassed by individual investment, and growth rate depends upon individual investment. And there is a research work by Jonathan Haskell, and conclusion that India is at the top and US is at the second. Second is the research by Graham Allison. He concludes that India is being serious about learning, applying some of them. India is growing dramatically faster than Beijing, China now. It means two research work and team of researchers and coming into the form of book, Graham Allison book, Destined for a War, and Jonathan Haskell book, Capitalism Without Capital, are the latest research which has proved that India is first in visual investment. US is second. You will surprise that Donald Trump and First Lady of US both visited UK recently. Why? Donald Trump declared that US and UK must have a pact. For what? Invisible investment. Because US is second and UK is 11th, India is first. So for tech investment, there is a agreement in last month between US and UK to have a heavy investment in high tech, fear psychosis, because this result is done by foreign brilliant professors, Harvard and other university, not by the Indian politician. In India, politicians become economists and tell many things. So this is most interesting topic. India is being serious about learning and applying some of them. India is growing dramatically faster than Beijing, China now. This is Graham Allison findings. And the findings of Jonathan Haskell that India is fast-growing economy in the world, India has achieved the first rank position in invisible investment in the world. Second position is achieved by US in the world. 11th position is achieved by UK. 15th position is achieved by Japan. This is the story at present going on in the world. Thank you for watching the video. Like it, share it, subscribe it.